In the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda, one of the most profound lessons for the spiritual aspirant concerns the art of remaining unshaken by the harsh words, criticisms, and misunderstandings that inevitably come from others. The world is filled with voices, some kind and uplifting, others cutting and destructive. And the soul that seeks peace must learn to navigate this ocean of human expression without being capsized by every wave of negativity that crashes against it. Yogananda understood deeply that our reactions to the words of others reveal the state of our inner consciousness, and that true spiritual freedom means developing an unshakable center of peace that no external force can disturb. Before we begin, if you enjoy this video, give me a like, comment below about your thought, and hit subscribe so you don't miss any video inspired by Yogananda's teaching. Thank you very much. The first essential practice in remaining unaffected by wrong words is to cultivate a deep understanding of the true nature of criticism and negative speech. Yogananda taught that when someone speaks harshly to us or about us, they are not truly seeing us at all. They are projecting their own inner state, their own pain, their own limitations of understanding onto the screen of our presence. Like a movie projector casting images onto a blank wall, the angry or critical person is simply displaying the contents of their own consciousness. The wall itself remains unchanged by whatever images appear upon it. When we understand this principle deeply, not just intellectually but in the very core of our being, we begin to see that wrong words are not really about us at all. They are about the speaker's current level of awareness, their unhealed wounds, their temporary state of delusion. Yogananda would often remind his students that people speak from their level of consciousness. Someone operating from a consciousness of fear will speak fearful words. Someone trapped in jealousy will speak jealous words. Someone dwelling in anger will speak angry words. But these words have no power except the power we give them through our reaction. The spiritual aspirant must learn to see beyond the surface of words to the suffering that produces them. This does not mean we excuse harmful behavior or allow ourselves to be abused, but rather that we understand the source of negativity and refuse to absorb it into our own consciousness. When someone throws mud at you, Yogananda might say, "You need not catch it. Let it fall to the ground where it belongs." This understanding requires us to develop what Yogananda called divine indifference to the opinions of others. Divine indifference is not cold-heartedness or lack of compassion. Rather, it is a state of inner freedom where we remain centered in our own truth regardless of external validation or condemnation. We care about people, we serve them, we love them, but we do not depend on their approval for our sense of worth. We do not allow their misperceptions to define our reality. This is one of the highest forms of spiritual maturity, because it means we have found our identity not in the shifting sands of human opinion, but in the eternal truth of our divine nature. When we know ourselves as souls, as children of God, as expressions of infinite consciousness, then the limited judgments of others lose their power to wound us. The second fundamental practice is to strengthen the inner fortress of self-realization through meditation and communion with the divine. Yogananda emphasized again and again that meditation is not merely a relaxation technique or a way to reduce stress, though it certainly accomplishes these things. Meditation is the science of direct contact with God, with our own higher self, with the infinite peace and joy that is our true nature. When we meditate deeply and regularly, we build an inner reservoir of peace that cannot be disturbed by outer circumstances. We create a sanctuary within ourselves where we can always retreat, no matter what storms may rage in the external world. This inner fortress becomes our true home, our place of refuge and renewal. When someone speaks wrong words to us, we can immediately retreat into this inner sanctuary, touching the peace that dwells there, remembering who we really are. The practice of meditation teaches us that we are not our thoughts, not our emotions, not our circumstances, and certainly not the opinions others hold about us. We are the eternal witness, the consciousness that observes all these passing phenomena without being touched by them. As we deepen in this realization through regular meditation practice, the words of others begin to feel like distant sounds that cannot penetrate the thick walls of our inner castle. Yogananda taught specific meditation techniques designed to help practitioners experience this inner peace directly. Through practices like Hong Sao, watching the breath while mentally repeating these ancient Sanskrit syllables, we learn to withdraw our attention from the outer world and focus it at the spiritual eye, the seat of divine consciousness in the body. Through the practice of Kriya Yoga, we learn to work directly with the life force, accelerating our spiritual evolution and deepening our experience of inner communion. These are not mere theoretical exercises but practical technologies of consciousness that produce tangible results. When we have tasted the nectar of divine peace in meditation, the bitter words of others lose their flavor. We have found something so much sweeter, so much more satisfying, that we are no longer hungry for human approval or devastated by human criticism. Beyond formal meditation, Yogananda encouraged his students to practice the presence of God throughout the day. This means maintaining an inner awareness of the divine even while engaged in outer activities. We can silently repeat a mantra, offer our actions as service to God, or simply maintain a background awareness of peace and divine presence. When this practice becomes habitual, we create a continuous connection to our source, a lifeline that keeps us anchored in truth no matter what turbulence we encounter. If someone speaks harshly to us, we can immediately turn our attention inward, touch that divine presence, and respond from that centered place rather than reacting from wounded ego. The third essential practice is to actively cultivate unconditional love and compassion, even toward those who speak wrongly to us or about us. This may seem counterintuitive or even impossible, but Yogananda taught that it is the ultimate protection against being hurt by others. When we respond to negativity with love, we complete a spiritual alchemy that transforms poison into nectar. We refuse to participate in the cycle of hurt and retaliation. We break the chain of karma that binds people together in patterns of mutual wounding. This practice requires tremendous spiritual strength and maturity. It is not about being a doormat or allowing ourselves to be abused. It is about maintaining our own inner state of love regardless of what others do. Yogananda would often quote Jesus' teaching to love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, recognizing this as one of the highest spiritual instructions ever given. When someone speaks wrong words to us, our immediate inner response should be to send them love and light, to pray for their healing and awakening, to see them as souls struggling in delusion rather than as enemies to be defeated. This practice has a profound effect on our own consciousness. When we choose love in the face of hatred, peace in the face of anger, understanding in the face of judgment, we strengthen our own divine nature. We prove to ourselves that we are not controlled by external circumstances. We demonstrate our spiritual freedom. Moreover, this practice often has a transformative effect on the other person as well. Love is the most powerful force in the universe, and when we direct it consciously towards someone who is acting from a place of darkness, we may help them find their way back to the light. Yogananda taught that we should practice seeing the divine in everyone, even those who seem most unlovable. Behind every harsh word, every cruel action, every manifestation of ignorance, there is a soul that is fundamentally divine, temporarily lost in delusion. When we can see past the surface behavior to the divine essence within each person, we naturally feel compassion rather than hurt. We understand that their wrong words come from their pain, their confusion, their separation from their own divine nature. We want to help them heal rather than punish them or protect ourselves from them through walls of resentment. This does not mean we must maintain close relationships with people who consistently harm us. Yogananda was practical in his spirituality. He recognized that sometimes the most loving thing we can do is to create distance from toxic relationships while still maintaining an inner attitude of goodwill. We can love someone from afar. We can pray for their highest good while not subjecting ourselves to their negativity. The key is that we do not carry resentment, hatred, or a sense of victimhood. We remain free in our hearts even as we make wise choices about our external associations. These three practices work together synergistically. Understanding the true nature of criticism helps us not take things personally. Strengthening our inner fortress through meditation gives us a place of refuge and a direct experience of our true nature. Cultivating unconditional love transforms our relationship with those who would harm us and accelerates our own spiritual growth. Together, these practices create an impenetrable shield of spiritual consciousness that allows us to move through the world with grace, peace, and freedom. Yogananda's teachings on this subject are not merely philosophical concepts but practical tools for daily living. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with opinions, judgments, criticisms, and misunderstandings, the ability to remain centered and unaffected is not just spiritually valuable but practically essential for our mental and emotional health. When we master these practices, we discover a freedom that most people never experience. We are no longer puppets dancing to the strings of others' opinions. We are sovereign beings, rooted in truth, expressing our divine nature regardless of external circumstances. The journey to this state of consciousness requires patience, practice, and persistence. We will not master it overnight. There will be times when wrong words still sting, when criticism still hurts, when we react from ego rather than responding from soul. But each time we apply these practices, we grow stronger. Each time we choose understanding over defensiveness, peace over agitation, love over resentment, we take another step towards spiritual freedom. Yogananda assured his students that this freedom is not only possible but is our birthright as souls made in the image of God. In the end, the goal is not to become hard or unfeeling, but to become so filled with inner peace and love that there is simply no room for the negativity of others to take root. We become like the ocean, which remains essentially unchanged whether people throw stones into it or pour honey upon its surface. We become established in our true nature, which is Sat Chit Ananda, ever existing, ever conscious, ever new bliss. From this state of consciousness, wrong words are seen for what they truly are: temporary disturbances on the surface of an infinite ocean of peace, unable to affect the depths where we truly dwell.